it's Angelique. Coming to you live from the Shoe Chick Art Studio in fabulous downtown Las Vegas. Woo woo! How you guys been? It's been a minute. I haven't put up a new video in a minute because I've been out here in these streets painting. And now I'm kind of pulling back a little bit and doing a little virtual stuff. Excuse me while I try to get organized here. It always looks a little different once I put the live screen back on there. I want it to be about the painting and not so much about me. So I hope you can see it pretty good. So, okay, we're painting Sunshine today. Isn't she super cute? I really love her. So, very simple. And as usual, I'm going to take you about 90% through the painting. And then the rest of the way is going to be up to you. My microphone's all twisted around. I hope you can hear me a little bit better now. So, okay. So, I take you about 90% through, and then you finish the rest on your own. It's so fun. You can pick up a kit in Las Vegas, or you can have it shipped to you, or, I deliver now. Deliver for free. So anyway, many, many ways to paint with me. So bam, here we go. It's already pre-traced for you. That's the fun, special part about my paint parties, is that I try to take a little bit of the anxiety away, because I want you to enjoy the flow of the paint, the experience of painting, and not be so stressed out about how it looks, because there are no mistakes. Anything that you create today is perfectly perfect. It is a representation of who you are in the moment, okay? We could all use a little prayer, right, these days? I'm reaching for my kit that I dropped on the floor. Okay, so inside your kit, you have the reference photo. That's for all you OCD people that aren't going to listen to what I just said about enjoying the experience. And you want to create it just like this. So there you go, your reference photo. You have an apron in your kit. We're painting with acrylic paints that we always paint with. They are an extremely easy medium to start with. So you're going to take that. You're going to put a little water on your hands, make it open up, so that it can go over your head, okay? So it actually, I've seen so many versions of people putting this apron out, it's hilarious. But it fully opens up and it goes over your head. Everything in your kit is disposable, right? I love that these days. So nobody's used the brushes before, nobody's used your apron before, nothing, okay? You got 3 paint brushes. You might have a piece of chalk in your kit or a pencil as well, so you can draw the flowers in the background. So 2 brushes, 3 brushes, sponge brush, detail brush, flat tip brush. You had a cup. You need to fill that cup halfway with water, okay? And then you have a highly absorbent blue paper towel. Not like a regular paper towel. It is highly absorbent, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do, take all that tape and everything that you have on your kit. Be careful with that tape. It sticks to everything. Maybe ball it up and dispose of it. Take the lids off your paint. And I am painting with the exact same tools that you are, okay? Here's my paints. I'm taking all the lids off of them. And then the first thing that we're going to do is, like we always do, is we put a light coat of water on our canvas, right? So I'm dunking in the water, putting a light coat of water on the canvas, just like that. Light coat of water. And then I want it to dry a little bit, okay? I don't want it to be wet when I start painting on it. If you put too much water, you can kind of dab it off. Okay, so this is to prime your canvas. This is the paint party world. So in the real art world, like, you use gesso and kind of prime your canvas that way, or sometimes people just put a white coat of paint on there just to kind of prime the canvas so that the first coat of paint isn't like super absorbed in it, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do, I did that with my sponge brush. If you rested your brush in the water, you want to dry it out as much as you can on that blue paper towel, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to paint the yellow background. So I'm going to outliner, taking the tip of my brush into that paint. I'm going to outliner, very simple, right on top of those trace lines, right? Because I don't want anybody to know that I traced her. You don't want your friends to know that you traced her. So right on top of the trace lines, or actually it's kind of hard with the sponge brush, so as close as you can possibly get, and we're going to fill in the gaps later with a different paintbrush, right? So I just outlined her, and now I'm going to just paint that yellow background in, okay? Play a little YouTube safe music here so my video doesn't get tagged. I like TikTok because I'll be able to like play any kind of music I want. So what do we got here? I have the same music all the time, which is okay. All right. Painting the background yellow. Long, vertical strokes. Even gonna paint the side, because when you hang up your masterpiece, you won't need a frame if you paint the sides. Enjoy the flow of the paint. Okie dokie. That's how we're rolling right now. Look, that was so super easy, right? Do not rest this brush in your water. It's a sponge. It'll absorb all the water, okay? So I did that super fast. And because this is Video World, all you gotta do is pause me, so don't trip, right? Sometimes people are like, you're painting so fast. Well, pause me and then let the group catch up. It's just that simple, people. All right? Plus, yeah, I love the video thing because in live person, like our paint parties are usually about 2 hours. And I love the Video World. You can do it at your own pace. So there's little gaps in between the trace lines because it's kind of hard to get close with the sponge brush. So you're going to take that flat tip brush, the flat, go into your yellow paint, and just kind of close those gaps in that were a little too hard to get to with that sponge brush. Alright, so I'm closing those gaps in a little bit. I don't want any white. I don't want it to look like a sticker, right? We want it to look like a painting. So fill in the gaps. I'm not worried so much around her hair because I'm just going to make her hair bigger. I love doing the hair. Okay, so I'm going to rest this paintbrush in my water. Alright? The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to paint her beautiful brown skin. So I'm going to take that yellow brush, that flat tip brush, swish it around in my water, wipe it on my paper towel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline her. Now, let's say you wanted to be a different shade of brown or if you wanted to be Caucasian. You're going to just, in your mixing tray, in that tray that's holding your paints, you're going to put a little bit of white and a little bit of brown. So put a little bit of white in one corner, put a little bit of brown in the corner, and then you're going to mix the paint by taking a little bit of brown, putting it in that white until you get it the proper shade that you want. I hope you can kind of see that without me dumping all these paints out. I should have took them off there. So I'm just going to go straight out of my brown paint. I'm going to make her just brown. So I'm just going to outline her first. We always outline and then we paint her in, okay? So I'm going right on top of those trace lines. And you can change the shape of her hands if you don't like the way I did her hands. You can do it any way you want. It's your painting, right? So everything that's going to be brown, I'm just outlining first. Okay? There are no mistakes. And the reason why we're not outlining in black is because you don't want it to look like a coloring book, right? You want it to look like a painting. Alright? Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to... Oops, I forgot her face. Then I'm going to paint her in. Even if you're doing a lighter color, you're going to paint around just the same way. I'm actually going to drag the outline. I'm not going to go back into my paint. I'm going to try to use the outline as much as I can to fill in the white space. When you go into your paint, just a very small amount of paint. And these are acrylic paints that we're painting with, so they look better, bigger, bolder as we go along. I'll put a little bit of water on my brush. And again, I'm using the trace lines. And I'm kind of dragging that paint in. You don't want a whole lot of paint on your paintbrush. And you want to be able to see where her arms start and stop. So I'm doing a very small amount of paint, a little bit of water. So this idea for this painting came up with, I came up with it just kind of thinking about just the way the world is right now and how we just need more prayer, man, right? Spending a lot of time alone. And I used yellow because I wanted to make you happy. It's such a nice, vibrant, fun color. Yellow is. I don't have anything really with really this bright of a yellow background. And look, I'm talking about yellow and then I went into my yellow paint. But there are no mistakes, right? So I'm going to take my blue paper towel and I'm going to wipe that yellow off. I kind of like when I make mistakes because it kind of makes you see like you can fix anything. There really are no mistakes. I was talking about yellow and went into yellow, so I'm back into my brown paint with just a little tiny bit. And you know what? I'm not even trying to paint this painting exactly the same because I can't. Art is an expression of who you are in the moment, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you the lay of the land so you know how to complete your painting. Okay, so if you look at it and be like, yeah, they don't even look like that's I'm not even trying to make it look like the right painting. I painted the original one, okay, so just know that. All right, so it's all going to come together in the end. I'm going over my trace lines because I don't want that white gap in between the lines. Again, I'm putting a little bit of water on my brush. All right. So there we go. A little too white on this leg right here, so I'm going to put a little bit more brown paint. Now, acrylic paints get bolder and better, brighter, more brilliant as you apply coats, but the key is you got to let it dry in between coats. You can't just glob it all on there because it doesn't look good, okay? So I'm going to let that dry. And then the next thing, not very many colors in this painting. That's another thing. I love what you can create with just a small color palette. So if you want to switch things up, if you have some paint at home, switch it up. But I like keeping it simple. So we only have 4 colors in this painting. Now I'm going to do the afro. I'm going to go into the black paint. And I'm going to still using this flat tip brush. But I'm going to switch up and use the blue brush because I want more coverage. And this is such a small brush, right? So I'm going to go right into my black paint. Swish the yellow around, wipe it off in your paper towel, swish the brush around in your water, wipe it off in your paper towel, outline your afro. Outline your afro. Get a little close in here. Be careful because you want to kind of keep the shape of her head round or oval or whatever whatever shape. You could change the shape of the head, of course, if you want. I think the trace is more round, and then it's up to you to kind of make it more oval if you want. I'm going to keep it round. Being a little careful around the shoulders. You might have to use your artist's eye. I'm painting sideways, so mine isn't going to be as even as I'd like it to be. But I'm going in here right now, right? And I'm using my brush. It's like quite a bit of area to cover. That's why I was talking about that sponge brush. This is what I'm going to do. for the sake of the video, so you don't have to watch me do all that. I could speed it up, I guess, but I'm going to go get close to her face as I can, right? Then I'm going to use my sponge brush and fill in that big portion of her hair, right? So I did that. I'm going to rest this in my water. I'm going to get that brush, that sponge brush that has yellow on it. I'm swishing it around in my water. Check this out. It's going to get a little messy, but you get messy when you paint. Some things you don't mind getting messy for, right? All right, so squishing this out, squishing it out, rinsing it out. And black is so bold, it's going to cover up that yellow in that brush. So I actually got messy hands and everything. I'm going to take my highly absorbent blue paper towel, squeeze it out, go right into my black paint, and then I'm going to fill in that gap. Make sure you squeeze it out pretty good because you want that black paint to be as opaque as possible. I can't even tell you how much I love painting and how much I appreciate you watching this video, because I do. I appreciate you. I am living my dream, painting, selling kits, getting paid for what I love to do, talking, painting, oh, and drinking wine. Hold on, y'all got your wine? How did I forget that? Because I haven't done this in so long. Yes, I have my wine. Big Chardonnay drinker if y'all want to send me any surprises. By the way, website is theshoechickstore.com, because when you paint with me, Kids in Africa get shoes. 10% of everything I do helps the kiddos. If you want to learn more about that, visit my website, theshoechickstore.com. Okay? So there's my afro. But that afro doesn't look very fun, doesn't it? Does it? And if you look at your reference photo, this fro looks a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is, there's a Q-tip in your packet. There's not one in mine, so I have to reach for one real quick. So sorry about that. Be right back. Okay, that was pretty quick, right? Q-tip. Going right into my black paint, and look how fun this can get. Right along the edges of the afro, I'm going to create some texture. And you'll see, you get a different effect if you use it sideways. You get a different effect if you go like perpendicular, just straight on the canvas. You just kind of have fun with it. Because there are no mistakes. I don't want any white around my afro. So I'm making sure when I put it on there, that I'm getting all those white. Now, you can be OCD and really follow that reference photo. I always like to stick one out like crazy, like somewhere where you wouldn't expect it, like a few nappy flurries coming out. And so I just like to have fun with my afros. A lot of my paintings, you'll see, have afros or afro puffs. I usually use a Q-tip. If there's not a Q-tip in your packet for some reason, you can use the side of your paintbrush. Or if you just don't like using the Q-tip. But look how fun that is. So I'm just dabbing it here and there. And I'm actually going inside the afro. Because if you look, you can still see like your paint strokes, brush strokes. So if you go inside with the Q-tip, you can't see it right now. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it creates a little effect. So you want to make sure no edge is unaffected, right? So man, that her afro looks fun in that reference photo. Now we need it to dry. So if you look at your reference photo, there's little brown little swirls going on in there. But we got to have this afro dry before you do all that. Because when you start layering paints in with acrylic paints, sometimes you get quite a muddy effect if you don't wait for it to dry. So we could blow it. We could use a blow dryer to get it to dry faster. We could take our tray and fan it a little bit. But what I'm going to do is, while that afro is drying, I'm going to apply another brown coat of paint to her skin very quickly. So I did her afro really fast, so you're probably still working on that. And I'm going to add another coat of brown paint to her beautiful brown skin. So I'm going to be quiet while you enjoy the painting experience. How about a little... Another coat of brown. Swishing my brush around in my water that's pretty yucky. You could change yours if you want. But just make sure you wipe it off good on the paper towel. It really doesn't matter how yucky your water gets. Usually when you start getting into your painting, like at my paint parties, it start getting quiet. Because you could see it coming to life, right? Do you see her coming to life? Using the tip of my paintbrush as I do a little foot there. So I recommend really, especially if you're painting by yourself and you're using this as like a little therapeutic session for yourself, watch the video all the way through first and then paint. Because I've done some tutorials with some people before too, and I'd be like super frustrated, and I'm like, oh, let me just watch it through so I know the next move. So hope that tip helps you. Now there's some gaps around her I don't like. I don't like how that white is there. So I went back into my yellow paint and I'm closing those gaps. And this light is kind of taken away from the yellow, so I'm going to turn it a little bit so you can see. Oh, she's look cute. Okay, I just went. That was more for me than for you. I just wanted to see how she was looking on the camera. So I'm going around the yellow foot. Filling the gaps. All right, so her hair, you can kind of see on the video, like her hair is getting dry. I don't still really like her hair. And again, I'm doing it fast, so I just want you to get the idea of what you need to do. So you keep working on it and working on it. Like I'm doing this video, probably be about 30-minute video, but really this is like a 2-hour experience, right? So you're working on the hair, you pause this thing and you work on the hair until you get the hair exactly how you want it. Like I've done this painting a few times, so I'm pretty fast with the hair. I'm taking the flat tip brush and I'm going around the edges just to see what other kind of effects I can get for the texture of the hair. And even you could go into a little bit of white paint, and we put a little bit of white paint with that black and make gray. You even get another kind of effect, and that's really, really cool for the curls, for the like the little flyaways there. Hope you can kind of see that. You can kind of see that on the video. So put a little white, make a little gray. Let me see if I did that in the reference photo. I didn't. But, you know, it's your painting. You can do whatever you want. So just try it out. Alright, but the inner part of her hair is pretty dry. So you have another brush in your kit. It's like a detail brush. And what I'm going to do with the detail brush is I'm going to go into the brown paint. I didn't even put any water on it. And I'm just going to add some little swirls, or just kind of think of like parentheses. I'm just going to go around and put some little brush strokes here and there, just to add some areas of interest to her hair. It's kind of fun. You don't want it just to be all black, so she got some highlights in her fro. Again, just little brush strokes here and there, no rhyme or reason to them, just all willy-nilly. Not so much on the edges, more of in the main part. Now the next thing I'm going to do with this paint brush, this fine tooth brush, tip brush, detail brush, is I'm going to swish it out in my water, dry it off, and then I'm going to go into my black paint. Now I don't want to give a hard outline to everything because I don't want it to look like a coloring book. But so I got black paint on there. I'm just going to wipe it off a little bit on my paper towel. That's how I don't want. That's how less the small amount of paint that I want. And then I'm going to drag it over the trace lines. And if you put too much, just let it dry and then go over it. And if it's a little choppy, like mine isn't flowing the way I want it to, I'm putting a little bit of water on my paintbrush. And I'm going over those lines very carefully. Get the prayer hands right. A little black paint, a little water, and again going over, giving some definition to the hands. Again, I don't want any white spaces. The white that you see that I left was to kind of let me know where the arms, where the lines were for the arms. Okay? So a little bit of water, a little bit of black paint. Not too much water because it'll start dripping. If it does, just use your black paper towel. And again, not a real hard line, just kind of drag it. And look at the reference photo, you know, there's a line here. Hopefully you can still see your lines like for the leg. I'm just using a very light touch. Just giving everything a little bit of definition of those defining lines for the leg, maybe for the foot here. Maybe you don't want to do that. You have to be really careful with the black paint. Black's a very bold color, okay? I still have some white gaps here and there, so I just wiped off my brush. I didn't even go into the water. I just wiped it off on my paper towel. Went into the brown paint, and I am filling in all those white gaps. I don't like those. Now, I always say my paint parties are Paint Party 101. We're not doing any perspective drawing. We're not doing any color theory. But of course, you can have fun with this with some shading. I usually use the white paint to add a few like highlights, like reflection points and things like that. And that's probably about the extent, but I would love for you just to experiment and like mix some like a lighter shade of brown and just kind of put some highlights here and there, or practice with contouring. It's kind of like when you do like your eyeshadow or your the stuff they do with makeup these days. If you're much of a makeup person, you can really understand where I'm coming from. So again, I'm just kind of tightening up all those white spaces I don't like and kind of pulling her together a little bit. Then you want to take your artist's eye. Is she even? Is her face lopsided? Are her arms lopsided? And again, I'm painting sideways, and then it's not an exact, like it's a mirror image for me. So, but I can see that her shoulders are a little off. So I'm just taking my brown paint and extending them a little bit. So just take your artist's eye and kind of take a look at it. Okay? Maybe you want to bring her hair down a little bit. I'm going to bring her hair down just a little bit through here. Just take your artist's eye and take a look at it. All of us have an artist's eye. And where would you like her hair to be? Do you want an afro a little bigger? Does she need a few more flyaways here? And I'm using a detail brush with this. Creating a few more flyaways, right? So the very last step that I always do is the white paint for the highlights, okay? Make sure your paint is relative with dry is like the best. Blow dryer, fan it dry. And then you put all these fun highlights. And I know you're thinking, but Angelique, you did not go over the flowers. Well, the flowers you're going to freehand. There might be a piece of chalk in your kit, or there might be a little pencil. And basically, the great part about this is that yellow is already dry. It's for real dry because we did that first, right? So you're gonna just draw in your flowers, and all the flowers are is a circle. And I don't know if you can see that or not. And I just dropped my microphone, so hold on 1 second. My speaker. You gotta love me doing this stuff live. I promise you. I hope me doing this live is encouraging for you to try to like do your own videos. Okay, I'm getting off track here. Okay, so we're doing the flowers, right? So you're gonna have a pencil or a piece of chalk in your kit, and I'm gonna turn this light a little bit because it's creating such a glare you can't see. All the flowers are just a circle and other circles around it. That's all I did. So let's see that one flower, 1, 2, 3 has 5 petals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals. Isn't that cool? And then in the middle of it, I painted whatever color it was, and then the outside I did white, right? So, turn this light. So the middle, I'm going to do even though this one is yellow, I'm going to do the back, I'm going to do it brown, just so you can get a better look on camera. So the middle, I'm going to do brown. I'm doing with the fine tip one, detail brush. I'm swishing out my brush. Drying it off really good because that white, you want it to stand out. And then I'm doing white. Isn't that cool? All they are is circles. Make sure you cover those trace lines. Now you can outline them a little bit more later in black once it dries. So now you know how to do the flowers. And let me turn that light away. See the flower? Isn't that cute? All right, so with that detail brush, I'm also going to have a little bit of fun, and because my background is dry, and I'm just going to do some willy-nilly kind of freehand swirls. Again, you can follow the reference photo if you want, or you can do it any way you want. I'm just, I'm doing a few on her body here. I'm using, again, that's a detail brush with quite a bit of white paint on it. Quite a bit of white paint. So have fun with it. Do your flowers. Use your pencil or your chalk to do the sunshine in here. I started in the middle and went out, but I'm just trusting myself, freehanding it. But you can use the chalk or a pencil first and kind of pencil it in and do your sunshine. But that concludes. I said I was going to take you 90% through. I think I took you like 95% through this painting. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed painting sunshine. I hope she brightens up your day. Please comment. Visit my YouTube channel, Angelique Paints. If you're in Vegas, text the word paint to 702-271-3151. Pick up your paint kit or for further information. Thank you, everybody. Have fun today. Have a brilliant, fun day and full of sunshine, and be safe. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.